Hey guys, hello, welcome to Just Vintage Crochet, and today we are going to work square number 2 of the Alice Brooks square. This is the butterfly one. Again, like before, I'm going to work up the first 15 rows with you, and if you watched the first video with the circle of flowers, all of this is going to be familiar to you. I'm not going to go over it, so if you want to learn what these long space squares are and all of that, you can check out the first video. There's going to be a card right here, or you can go into the description box down below and click the link to square number 1, where we go over most of these stitches. What I want to go over with you this time are these stitches right here. Okay, very easy, but it'll be worth going over. And then you can make both squares. Now, in this video, I'm not going to make the entire square. I will eventually make the entire square as it's going to go up on my doily curtain. But I've been working with so much thread the last couple of weeks that I don't think I can handle making a whole square this time. So I'm just going to work up to 15 rows with you on camera. Okay? So I'm sure you guys understand. So I've already started. Again, this starts just like square 1. So you're going to chain your 122 and work your 39 squares or spaces. When you are done with your 39 spaces, chain 5 for turn and then come on back. When you pick up the pattern, if you pick up the pattern, you're going to get the line by line right out of the butterfly square, and there's a notation here that row 16 and row 18, when it says to turn, we're going to do the usual chain 5 and turn. We're going to chain 3, as those rows they start off with a block. Okay, all right, so come on back whenever you have your 39 spaces, and we will move on to row 2. Row 2, again, this is going to be targeted toward those who already watched the first video and are familiar with my style of teaching filet, and you're familiar with the stitches. You're going to work 1 space, 18 long spaces, and 2 spaces, okay? We're going to start off with 1 space, so you're going to chain 5 and turn, and into the top of the first double crochet, work a double crochet. Now, for your long space, you're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yarn over, skip 2 spaces, and in the next double crochet over, work your double crochet. So I will be right back. You have the row numbers: 1 space, 18 long space, and 2 space. Be right back. Okay, so there is row 2. We started with 1 space, 18 long spaces, and end with 2 space. Chain 5 for turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now we are going to work row 3, 1 space, 10 long spaces. Here we go. 1 space, 10 long spaces, followed by 3 blocks. Okay, so let's start with that. 1 space, 10 long spaces, and then 3 blocks. Here we go. So we've got 1 space, 10 long spaces, and 3 blocks. Now to finish off this row, 1 space, 6 long spaces, 2 space, then chain 5 to turn. So one more time just so that you can write that down. Oops, it looks a little blurry. See if that clears it up a little. 1 space, 6 long spaces, 2 space, then turn. Okay, so we've got 1 space, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 long spaces, and then ended with 2 spaces. Now chain 5 to turn. And our next row, row 4, 1 space, 5 long spaces, 4 blocks. Okay, 1 space, 5 long, 4 blocks. I'll be right back. Right, 1 space, 5 long spaces, and then 4 blocks. Now we move on to 1 space. Sorry about that. 1 space, 3 blocks, 1 long space, 1 space. So write this down if you need to. Space, 3 blocks, 1 long space, 1 space. I will be right back. Okay, So here we have 1 space, 3 blocks, long space, and then space. So that's how everything should be looking now. So, long space, there we go. Now we're going to work 4 blocks. Go ahead and write this down. 4 blocks, 2 space, 2 blocks, 1 space. Okay, write all that down and I will be right back when I work that. Okay, so we've got 4 blocks, 2 spaces, 2 blocks, and then 1 space. So that's how everything should be looking now. Let's finish this row. And we've got 3 long space, 2 spaces, then chain 5 to turn. Okay, so 3 long space, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 3 long space, 2 space, chain 5 to turn. Okay, chained 5 to turn. Now we're going to move on to row 5, and it's 1 space, going to give you a little more here. 1 space, write all this down, 3 long space, 1 space, 8 blocks. Okay, come on back whenever you are done at the end of 8 blocks. Our 1 space, 3 long spaces, 1 space, and then 8 blocks. Okay. 1 space, 1 block, 1 space, 3 blocks. So be sure you're writing this down to help yourself out, or you could just pause the screen. 1 space, 1 block, 1 space, 3 blocks. I'll be right back. Okay, let's move on. We have really fast, easy, 1 long space, 3 blocks, 1 space. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, 1 long space, 1 long space, 3 blocks, 1 space. Now we can finish this row. 3 blocks, 3 long space, 2 space, then chain 5 to turn. I'll be right back. Okay, 3 blocks, 3 long space, 2 spaces, chain 5 to turn. Okay, let's move on to row 6, sorry. And we're gonna work, write this down. Let me see if I make it unblurry. 1 space, 2 long space, 1 space, 2 blocks. So write all of that down. 1 space, 2 long space, 1 space, and then 2 blocks. So I'm gonna work that and be right back. So here we have 1 space, our 2 long spaces, 1 space, and then 2 blocks. Let's move on to the next section. And we're gonna work 1 space. I do hope you guys are writing all of this down. 1 space, 2 blocks, 1 long space, 3 blocks. Okay, right there. Be right back. Okay, now we're gonna work this next 1 stitch together, okay? 1 long stitch is what we're gonna work next. And then I'm gonna give you some homework. So let's do the 1 long stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we got to skip 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and into the 6th, we work the double. There we go. Okay. Now we are going to work 4 blocks, 2 space, 5 blocks, 1 space. Okay, I'll hold this up so you can write that down. 4 blocks, 2 space, 5 blocks, 1 space. I'll be right back. Okay, there we go. We have 4 blocks, 2 space, 5 blocks, 1 space. Okay, let's look at what's next. And we're going to finish the row with 1 block, 3 long space, 2 space, then chain 5 to turn. So 1 block, 3 long space, 2 space, then turn. I'll be right back. Okay, there we go. I chained 5 and turned. Let's move on to row. I will eventually figure out what is a damn round and what is row. Row 7. So here we go. 1 space, 3 long space, 1 space, 1 block. So write that down. 1 space, 3 long space, 1 space, 1 block. I'll be right back. Okay, there we go. Let's move on. All right, gonna have to write this one down. Here we go. 2 space, 4 blocks. I hope that's not blurry. 2 space, 4 blocks, 2 space, 8 blocks, 1 long space. All right, I'll read it one more time. 2 space, 4 blocks, 2 space, 8 blocks, 1 long space. So go ahead and work all of that, and I'll be right back. We're gonna burn through these rows, aren't we? Okay, so here we go. We have our 2 spaces, 4 blocks, 2 spaces, 8 blocks, 1 long space, done. Okay, so now we're gonna work, let's come down here. 2 blocks, 1 long space. So let's just do that really quick. I'll do that with you. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That makes two blocks. And then 1 long space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which puts us into the first double crochet on the other side of the space. There we go. Now, to end the row, we're going to work 3 blocks, 1 space, 1 long space, 2 space, then turn. So write that down. 3 blocks, 1 space, 1 long space, then 2 space, turn. I'll be right back. Okay, let's move on to row 8. I've already chained 5 to turn. And here we go. We're going to start with 1 space, 2 long space, 1 block, 1 space. Okay, let me move this over so that it's a little easier. There we go. Everything under the yellow. So 1 space, 2 long space, 1 block, 1 space. I'll be right back. There we go. We've got 1 space, 2 long space, 1 block, 1 space. Let's move on to the next section. And here we have 2 blocks, 1 long space, 2 blocks, 1 long space. So write all that down. 2 block, 1 long, 2 block, 1 long. I'll be right back. Okay, now we have our 2 blocks, 1 long space, 2 blocks, 1 long space. Let's do this. Let's do 2 blocks and 1 space together. Then we'll move on to the next section. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. That's 2 blocks, and then 1 space. Skip, skip, work a double. Okay, now for the homework. And we have 4 blocks, 1 space, 1 block, 1 space. So go ahead and write that down. 4 blocks, 1 space, 1 block, 1 space. And I will be right back. Okay, so we have 4 blocks, 1 space, 1 block, 1 space. And now we have 2 blocks, 2 space, 1 block, 1 space. Okay, so write that down. 2 blocks, 2 space, 1 block, one space. I'll be right back. Okay, so we have 2 blocks, 2 space, 1 block, 1 space. Now let's finish this row 8 with 3 long space, 2 space, then turn. So 3 long space and then 2 space, and we turn. All right, let's move on to row 9. So we're going to work 1 space, 1 long space, 1 space, and then 3 blocks. So go ahead and write that down, everything under the yellow. 1 space, 1 long space, 1 space, and 3 blocks. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and be right back. So now we have 1 space, long space, space, and then 3 blocks. Now, let's see here, right here. Okay, 1 space, 2 blocks, 5 space, 1 block. So hold it up so you can write it down. 1 space, 2 blocks, 5 space, 1 block. I'm really hoping that by you writing all this down and kind of working it more or less on your own, you're really getting the hang of the best way to do these, or not the best way, that's of how to do these, you know, write it all down, and that way you have it. It's almost like a pattern. It's all pre-wrote out for you. You don't have to refer to the chart, just write them down. Okay, be right back. Okay, let's move on to the next section here. We have 1 space, 3 blocks, 2 space. So let's work that out real quick and then come on back. Okay, we are moving right along. Next section, let's work 6 blocks, 1 space, 3 blocks, 1 space. Okay, write that down. 6 blocks, 1 space, 3 blocks, 1 space. I will be right back when I get that worked up. Okay, so we just worked our 6 blocks, 1 space, 3 blocks, 1 space. So let's move on. Let me just redo that. 1 block, 1 space, 1 long space, 2 spaces, then turn. So write this down starting right here. 1 block, 1 space, 1 long space, 2 spaces, and turn. I'll hold this right here so you can write it down. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, go ahead and chain 5 to turn. We're going to start on row 10, and row 10 is going to introduce us to this portion. So I didn't word this portion out because I don't know what to call it. So I literally I drew exactly what it looks like on the chart. All you have to do is follow exactly what it looks like and just know. And of course, we're going to get into this as we get closer to working those stitches, but just know that when you see like the bird wing go down, that is taking up 1 whole space, and then coming back up takes up 1 whole space. So when we work one of these, it's over 2 whole spaces, okay? This one here is the only time in this entire pattern that we work it like this. Other than that, they're all worked like this over 2 spaces. And it's really, really easy. So let's get into it. Let's just start with row 10. We're going to work 1 space, 2 long spaces, and 1 space. And let's just go ahead and move this over just a pinch and get that block in. Let's just go ahead and, because we can do more than that. So 1 space, 2 long spaces, 1 space, and 1 block. So go ahead and write all this down. And I'll be right back. Okay, so we've got 1 space, 2 long, 1 space, 1 block. Let's move on. Okay, now we're going to work 1 space, 2 block, 1 long space, 2 blocks. So go ahead and write this down. Everything from here to here. 1 space, 2 block, 1 long, 2 block. I'll be right back. Okay, so we have our 1 space, 2 blocks, 1 long space, 2 blocks. Now we're going to work this next section together because we're going to get into our special stitch. But first I want to show you what it looks like on the chart. Here is our first special stitch, where we're going to chain 2, work a single crochet, chain 2, work a double crochet, chain 2, work a single, chain 2, and then start working our 2 blocks. Okay? It's really easy. So to start, we need to work, first we need to work up to it. So we still have to work our 1 space and 1 block. So let's work that together. Chain 2, skip 2, double crochet, that's 1 space. Then our 1 block, 1, oops, 2, and 3. Now we're going to work 2 of our special stitches. Like I said, in the rest of the pattern, we only work 1 at a time. This is the only place where we double it up. And you can see how it is the equivalent of 2 spaces. 1 space, 2 space, then 1 space, 2 space. It takes up 2 spaces. Okay? So here we go. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2, then come down here and work a single crochet. Chain 2, 1, 2. Now we're going to work a double crochet. Normally, this is where we would either work a space or a block because, like I said, the rest of the pattern, that's all it is just that. But this time we're going to work another special stitch because we got 2 in a row. So now we're going to chain 2, and we're going to skip 1 whole space, and into the double, we work our single crochet. Then we're going to chain 2, skip 2 stitches, and in the 3rd stitch over, we're going to start working our 2 blocks because the next direction it's giving us is to work 2 blocks. So that's a total of 7 double crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And that is our special stitch that we worked. Okay, there we go. Now let's see what we work next. Okay, so since we already worked our 2 blocks, as you can see, we worked our special stitch, then we worked 2 blocks. So now we're going to move on. So go ahead and write this down. 2 space, 2 block, 2 space, 4 block. Okay, write that down. And I will be right back. Okay, let's go ahead and finish this row. 2 space, 2 block, 3 space, then chain 5 to turn. So 2 space, 2 block, 3 space. And we'll be right back. Okay, let's move on to row 11. I've already chained 5. Here we go. We're going to work 1 space, 1 long space, 3 blocks, and 3 space. So 1 space, 1 long, 3 blocks, 3 space. Go ahead and write that down. And I will be right back. Okay, let's move on. 3 blocks, 5 space, 1 block, 1 space. So 3, let's just do the whole top row here. So 3 blocks, 5 space, write this all down. 1 block, 1 space, and then 2 long spaces. So let's just do the whole section here. Go ahead and write all that down. All right, I will be right back. To show you this part, I'm at the portion right here of the 2 long space, and that's going to put us over our special stitches. So just chain 5, and you're going to skip over the 2 chain 2s and into the double crochet in the middle. That's where you're going to work your double. And then repeat. 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip over your 2 chain 2 spaces and into the first double, work your double. Okay, and that creates kind of a unique gap. All right, let's move on. We're going to work our special stitch plus 5 blocks and 1 long space. So let's work that special stitch together. So we chain 2, 1, 2, skip 2 stitches, and in the third stitch over, work your single crochet, chain 2, skip 2 chains, and in the next double crochet over, work your double crochet, which will be the first double of your 5 blocks. So go ahead and work 5 blocks and then 1 long space. Okay, so 5 blocks, 1 long space. I'll be right back. Okay, let's move on. Got everything worked in. Let's finish this row with 1 block. Ooh, there we go. 1 block, 2 long space, and then 2 space, and turn. Chain 5 to turn. So 1 block, 2 long, 2 space, and turn. You can write that down right here. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, let's move on to row 12. We're going to work 1 space, 3 long space, 2 blocks, 1 space. So that's 1 space, 3 long, 2 block, 1 space. Go ahead and write that down, and I will be right back. Okay, so we have our 1 space, 3 long, 2 blocks, 1 space. Now we're going to move on to 1 block, 1 space, 1 special stitch. Remember that takes 2 spaces to work, and then 2 long space. So let's work this one together. So we have 1 block, 1, 2, and 3, 1 space, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, 1 special stitch. So chain 2, skip 2, and in the third, we work the single crochet, chain 2, skip 2, and in the third, we work the double crochet. Now we work 2 long space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip over the entire special stitch area and into that first double crochet over. You work your double. Then chain 5, 3, 4, 5, and into that double. There we go. Now that looks a little different there with them being stacked on each other, but it's correct. You can see right here is where we're working, and that is the way it's meant to look. Okay, so let's move on now. Let's finish the rest of this row together. So 1 block and 1 space. So here we go. 1, 2, and 3, and then 1 space. There we go. Okay, let's move right along. Now we're going to work the special stitch, 1 block, 3 space, 3 block. So let's work this last one together. After that, I'm going to leave you to it, okay? So 1 special stitch, 1 block, 3 space, 3 block. Chain 2, work a single crochet. You're going to skip 2 chains, so skip the whole space, work a single crochet, chain 2, skip 2 double and work your double crochet. Now we're going to work 1 block, okay, and 3 space. Here we go. 1, 2, and 3, and then 3 block. I'll work those off camera just because it's a little difficult for me to work this under the camera. I hate when I pop my stitches or pop my hook. So I'm going to work 3 block, but I'm going to give you the next instructions because now you know we're going to work 3 block. After you work your 3 blocks, we're going to finish this row. 3 space, 3 block, 1 long space, 2 space, then chain 5 to turn. Okay, that's 3 space, 3 block, 1 long, 2 space, and turn. I will be right back. Okay, so that is the first 12 rows in. So I think that you pretty much have it down pat how to do these stitches now, the special stitches. Other than that, all these other stitches are pretty regular that you know from the first time we went through the pattern. So you can pick up this pattern. Both of them are sold together and the written instructions. And I do hope you can understand my writing. I think it looks pretty good, I hope. But the written instructions for both patterns will be available. For those, again, who cannot pick up the pattern, I'm going to go ahead and hold the pattern, the rest of the pattern up for you so that you can see what we are doing, okay? So before I show you the pattern, I need to show you 2 corrections here on the butterfly motif. So write these down because it'll be important, but these you will notice are incorrect if you compare them to the graph. They are incorrect. I put little arrows to the precise incorrect parts, but I decided to write the whole thing down so that you can just ignore the whole portion, that whole row, and just work off of this. So there you go. And you will find this in the pattern on Etsy as well. Since that pattern is already done, I have to add this as a supplemental. But these were the only 2 errors that I found between both patterns. Okay. Here is the rest of the pattern for those who cannot pick it up in the Etsy shop. Here is rows 13 through 18. Pause your screen. Okay. And rows 19 through 23, 24 through 26, 27 through 31, 32 through 35, and 36 through 39.